I have this recurring nightmare every year. Okay, pretty routinely, to be honest. I can be quite forgetful at times, and so I have this horrible nightmare. And I don't mean like, oh, I just existentially am worried about this. I am, but it actually presents itself as a nightmare to me. That I'm going to forget when a sow is due to farrow, and she's just going to have piglets out somewhere randomly, and they're going to get squished or something. And it actually happened one time. I was down on crutches for 6 weeks. Didn't think my sow, I thought she was sterile. Biscuit, actually. She carries her piglets so high, she doesn't look pregnant. She always just looks slightly obese. Even so much so that, like, when we entered her in the show one year, and I'll track down the picture of it and post it here as a little side-by-side thing and show you, she had, it was 11 or 13 babies, I can't remember which now, like 3 days after these pictures were taken. She just carries them so high. So her first litter, she was with a boar, and it turned out to be the boar that was sterile, and never got bred. Threw her in with another boar, and it didn't seem to be taken either because she just doesn't show at all. So she had, wife was doing chores because I was down and laid out, couldn't go out in the field, and she was like, oh my God, your pig had piglets. There's just 3 piglets out there running around. And so she was very obese, and she didn't get bred till she was about 14 months old, which is insane. Normally, if they go that long, they won't ever take, and they'll become sterile. But so she did. So ever since then, I had this horrible nightmare that I'm going to get my dates wrong, and piglets are just going to be born and they're going to be squished, because we did lose 1 or 2 out there of that. There were 3 that lived. So I was looking at doing chores this morning, and I still thought I had like 2-ish weeks, 2 maybe 3 weeks left until fall farrowing here. And I was like, you know what? Those 3, they've been getting a little big, the Cero, uno, and dos. And I was looking at Dos, and I was like, man, you look really swole back there on her vulva. That's like floppy. We can see some pink. I was feeling around on underline. It was like, yeah, we were starting to get some donuts. Like, double checked real quick on my dates, and was like, oh God, no, actually the 6th is the earliest you could go, and it's the 3rd today of October. So it was like, we got to get everybody separated. So we've got Cero, uno, and dos, who were all bred at the same time by Benedict, separated and over into the farrowing yards here. And then we pulled Donut, because Donut looks very bred too, which is actually really concerning. So Cero, uno, and dos were with Benedict, who was proven, and they were unproven gilts, and they all look, they're obviously bred. They're very bred. They're also very fat, but they are very bred. It's very evident. With Donut, Dottie, Biscuit, and Oatmeal, they're all with Toast, who is unproven. And I haven't seen them go back into heat. They had kind of in the beginning a couple times, so I was like, oh, I don't know, man, I hope he's not sterile or something, because we'd had that with that one first boar, so I was terrified that happened again. But Donut started showing, and we've got her over here. She's very much bred, so it looks like he got her right away. With Biscuit and Oatmeal, they really don't show. Like, they carry it so far up, as you saw in that picture, that for me it's kind of like, well, when you start getting a bag, then I'll know that you're actually pregnant, which can be like a week to 2 weeks out from actually farrowing. Dottie usually shows, but she also is normally pretty fat, and she's not that fat this time. We've managed to keep her at a decent weight. Sometimes really hard with some of those ones that show some of those Cooney genetics. So, yeah, I'm really hoping the 3 of them are bred. I didn't bring them up because they don't look it really at all, but I was palpating everybody, just feeling down the sides, and trying to feel for movement. And I swore I felt some movement in all 4 of them. Obviously, the one, you'll see her in a sec, she's she's bred, and very close. But the other 3, you can't tell. They don't look pregnant. So if they are, honestly, we could be looking at another 3 weeks to 6 weeks out on them, which is really going to suck, because it means for all my breeding pair people, they're going to have a 3 to 6 week older animal than the others, which is not as big of a deal for them. For crates, it's kind of a pain in the butt, because then they'll have one that's pretty big. But What really is a bummer with it is that I have to keep that piglet for an additional 3 to 6 weeks, assuming that that was how their heat cycles landed. So, yeah, I guess we'll just kind of see on those and just keep an eye on them. But for now, let's go look at these other gals. Now, it's going to be almost impossible to tell here, but as I said this spring when they left and it was all bare and just straw, this stuff is, you can see the cattle panel, kind of right there, that's that top bar, and those are well over it. These are 7-8 foot tall. This Johnson grass stems, those are at least 2-3 feet taller than the cattle panel, and a lot of the yard is like this through all of these. There's at least 5 to 6 foot of growth over almost the entire pens in all these farrowing yards. And these two are just going to be idiots to each other. Ginger. And you are all wet. Oh yeah, because I sprayed her down. They're just being idiots because they haven't been around each other. So they're going to try to tussle through the fence. But then they've also got a ton of ground cherries. Not all of these are good. But ground cherries are edible. So she'll get a bunch of those she can eat on. Apparently you can make them into nice jellies and jams. I've had a lot of pigs in here, so I'm not going to do that. But you can see her, see how low she's starting to ride. I would imagine I probably still have a minimum of 1 to 2 weeks on her before she goes, but she has started sinking it down real low. She had been carrying it pretty high and it's really dropping down. Her vulva's getting pretty floppy, but not crazy. So I'm imagining we've only got 1 to 2 weeks maybe on her. So went ahead and moved her up here. All right, and then this was Muffin's yard. We got to put in some posts and give them some shade. We'll pull those sun sails back out and put the actual wooden posts in. I thought I had a couple more weeks, so. But here is Dose. We're gonna try to not spook her. She's falling asleep. And you can see how large her belly's starting to roll. She's pretty floppy back there. I did get a little bit of milk earlier. I don't know if maybe we can get some more to express. Little teeny tiny droplets, not much, which when it's this, oh, there we go. Let's see there, that yellowish stuff, that's milk. But I'm only really getting it to express from one teat. So I'm thinking I've still got a few days, but she was really, really floppy when I'm out there in the yard and has been just laying here kind of going like this. So I don't think we're that far off on her. So that she was what made me go, oh God, we got to move them. But she's doing good. She's doing good. Yeah, mama. Let's go check the others out. All right, and we're rolling up here on, I believe this is Uno. Hey lady. Hey lady. And these are those 3 gals we talked about in the sorting pigs video that, besides the ginger one, of course, that's not Ginger, that's Dottie. She, or Donut, man, sorry. Bad with my own pigs, 2 ginger pigs, so that throws me off. She was a little floppy too, but not as floppy as her. The 3 of these black and white ones are all sisters from the same litter. Oh, she's gonna pee on me. I'm gonna step back out of the way. Sure you guys want to see that. They're the ones we talked about in the sorting where I was like, their mom was a cull that we had for too long because she honestly just threw massive litters and would wean pretty much all of them. So we kept her around. She had a great growth rate. So we saved these back, culled her, and the goal is to save 1 or 2 gilts out of each of them and then cull them and just try to keep improving. So they're bred to Benedict, who was a beautiful boar with the exception of he had the same what are you doing? The same hump that they've kind of got. It's not, it's just a weird slope. Like it's too much of a slope to the back and kind of raises up. It's not bad or anything. It's just not really the conformation that I want to see. And underlines on him, he had a 6-7, and the 3 of them, there's one that has a 7-7 underline, and I cannot remember which one it is. I think it's Dose, but then the others have just trash underlines. So we're probably going to get maybe 1 breeder, but these 3 litters may be litters that I'm like, nope, you're all feeders. So we'll just see how that works out. They've got decent snouts on most of them. You can see pretty good. Not fantastic on any of them that it's like, oh, you're beautiful, but not bad. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. I'm going around the gate and just watched her chow down on a pigweed stem full of seeds. They absolutely love pigweed. I know there is a type of pigweed that's bad for them, but we have never had any issues with it, so we're just rolling with it's okay. And oh gosh, I know. I accidentally sprayed water directly into that ear. I was just trying to get her to lift that up for me. She was looking hot earlier, so sprayed her down with the hose, and she like turned right at the right moment for me to shoot down into her ear. So now she's touchy. But she's the one I think will go next. I think it'll probably be, this is Uno. I think it's probably going to be Dos, Uno, and then Cero. You can see how tall everything is in here. It's like a pack of velociraptors trying to get to them. They all have A-frames. This is the same pen as before. So yeah, I think that keeps you guys kind of updated on where they're at. And if you've made it this far, then that tells me that you're probably pretty interested in our pigs, right? Which means if you are interested in our pigs and how the things are going on here, enough to make it what is probably 5 to 6 minutes into this video when most people tap out, that means you might be interested in watching them farrow. So I attempt to be here for every farrowing. We keep an eye out when I notice a little bit of milk. That means that they're usually a decent amount of milk, 8 to 12 hours. That amount of milk that we just got there, 24 to 36 hours probably. But it could be sooner. With gilt, sometimes it's hard to tell. So what it means is that I'll be checking on her every few hours, and I'll come out 2 or 3 times in the night to check, so that I can attempt to be here when they farrow. Not normally because they need it. I have had to pull twice, and it was the same sow, and we culled her for it. That was Cupcake. Or not Cupcake, I'm sorry, Muffin. That was Muffin, and we named her daughter Cupcake because cupcakes are better than muffins, right? So, fingers crossed. Except, Muffin had a better underline than Cupcake. So, there was that. They both look like they're going to have almost the same build, almost the same snout. Maybe Cupcakes will be a little longer, which would be better. Muffin had a really smashed coonie face and could barely breathe. But we culled her for her bad mothering ability to constantly having stuck piglets. She'd had 3, maybe 4 litters, and 2 of those litters had stuck piglets. So I'm just not about that. That's not what we want to pass on, and that's not what we want to sell. So we will be filming the farrowings. Every farrowing that I'm out here for and can catch, I will film the entire thing. Now that does mean it'll be most likely a pretty long video. I may try to edit out some of the boring parts, because there can be like 30, 40 minutes between piglets. So I may snip some of that stuff out and edit it up for you just so you're not just sitting there. Because I won't live stream it just because my service out here, there's no way that I could live stream. If you attempted to watch the last interview I had with Rob, you'll know that live streaming is just real rough right now. But those videos will not just go up on YouTube because that will involve blood and gore, right? There's placenta, there is oftentimes blood, there's weird discharges. So I'm not going to put that right on YouTube. It will technically be on YouTube because it has to be hosted somewhere, but it will be unlisted. And the way you'll access that is sign up for our Patreon for the second lowest tier. The first tier just being, it's $5 a month, and it's pretty much just you're helping buy my coffee to go be able to upload these videos, because as you can see, I really can't upload these very well from home. And hence, honestly, I didn't have time to go to a coffee shop this week until the end. So you've got this backlog of videos I'm trying to get updated. So today is the 3rd. So whenever this one goes live, I'm going to try to get it up in the next day or 2 because I am going into town. So maybe I can get this edited and out tonight, maybe tomorrow. But those will go up on the Patreon. The $10 a month tier, which, guys, is still less, at least for me, that's drastically less than the cost of a bag of feed. It's about the cost of a cup of coffee once a month. So it helps me. It does kind of give us that little paywall where I know if you're paying that, you're not going to report the video for blood and gore, okay? Because that is the kind of thing that happens, and that's why we're not putting it right on YouTube, because I don't want to risk getting our channel taken down. and it helps us cover some costs around the farm. That money from the Patreon stuff just goes right back into me buying more equipment to be able to better do this YouTube thing. At the moment, I'm not really going to spend on anything other than YouTube, so it'll just get dumped back into that. So you guys will get better footage and stuff the more Patreon stuff we do. And I'll start doing, once we get a Patreon member, currently nobody is signed up as a Patreon or patron. When we do, at the end of every video, no matter what tier you're on, the 5, 10, 25, or 50, your name will go on the end with what tier you are, to kind of give you just a little thank you and shout out, because if you're willing to give me a little bit of money every month to help make this stuff work, I already appreciate you for all the likes, the comments, and just the fact that you watch our videos and listen to me talk all the time, because I don't like listening to me talk. I know it probably doesn't seem that way, but I get nervous and ramble. But if you just do that, I crazy appreciate you. Doing the comments and doing the likes, and even sharing if you do that, that crazy bumps us up and gets more people to see our channel, which eventually helps us towards becoming monetized and being able to get paid for those ads that run anyways, right? All these ads that come up at the beginning, I don't get paid for those. But once we hit monetization, then we'll start being able to get paid. We're at 380 subscribers. We need to hit 1,000. We're at 2,034 watch hours. We need to hit 4,000. So just to help keep you guys up to date on that. But the way to help, keep this going and keep us getting better equipment up until then would just be to join on that Patreon. You'll get all those all those recordings of the farrowings as they're happening, so you can keep up to date. You'll get on the YouTube. We'll of course do videos of the piglets after they're born and once everybody's good. But if you want to see how the farrowing process actually goes and tips as we're doing it, because of course I'll talk you through like, oh, this is what's happening. Here's what I do in these situations. And then also we have a recorded video already up and on there for you to watch that is castration. And I know on YouTube there's a lot of castration videos, but most of them are not actually them cutting or doing anything because their videos get flagged and taken down and their channels reported. That video is actually a full out video right over my shoulder as I'm castrating, me going slow and talking through, this is what we do. Here are issues we've had with castration, problems that have happened, why we think that's so important, yada, yada, yada. It's like a 20-30 minute long video going through that full step process with you. So castration is one of those necessary evils on a farm. Not really evil, but like one of those things that you're like, oh God, I'm real nervous doing that if you're a beginning farmer. And even every time before I do it, there's always that like, okay, here we go. So that is on there. Hopefully that can help work you guys through that. I know if you're a breed association member for the IPPBA, there are castration videos where you got to watch Joe Chestnut do that. That is available on the website for members. So I'm not just like, if you want a free-ish version of that, you paid your membership, it's not free, but that one is out there too. And then I know Annie, she put one up on Facebook in the IPP groups. Fantastic. So there are other videos out there, but oftentimes if they're not on, the one on the IPPBA website, of course, will never go anywhere. But like the one on Facebook, who knows if that one will get flagged and taken down. So this just gives you more options, more experience to it, and gets you a little bit more open to it. Any of the videos that are like that are the real side of farming that I don't think I can post on YouTube without getting in trouble, will go up there. If you've made it this far, because now you're like 10, 15 minutes into a video, right? Listening to me just stand here, ramble on. If there is any options that you would like to see on that Patreon, throw it out there in the comments as a suggestion. I am down to do whatever will make it worthwhile for you guys to be like, oh yeah, that's worth me throwing in $10. Like, or the 25 option or the 50. The 50 option is an hour Zoom chat once a month with me to talk about literally whatever you want. Preferably things you'll get, useful bits out of, like specific questions on managing a farm or laying out a farm or anything like that. But, I'm down to just chat for whatever, I guess, really. But anything else you want for any of those other tiers or even for that tier, drop it in the comments. Let me know. And as long as it's not outrageous, like send me a whole hog or something, I'm pretty well down to it. We can discuss it and make it work. So beyond that, I think I've talked long enough. You guys have a great rest of your week. If this is your first video by me, watch some other videos first. There'll be a couple that'll drop up in the end screens here. And then if you like the content, not just based off this one video, but based off of a few of my videos, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you get that notification bell, so you know when more of them are coming out. Thank you guys so much.